Have you ever wondered why avoidant attachment types often come back after you implement the no-contact rule? This seems to be a common phenomenon. You decide to create distance, refrain from sending any messages, and then suddenly, the person you thought was gone forever reappears, trying to find their way back into your life. What is it about this rule that makes it so effective, especially for avoidant individuals? To answer this question, we need to delve into the complex psychological world of those with an avoidant attachment style. These individuals often build emotional walls, not because they don't want connection, but because they fear being hurt by getting too close. The no-contact rule, which might seem like a simple strategy, creates enough space for them to confront their true feelings. This distance, far from being a rejection, acts as a subtle pause that prompts them to question, have they forgotten about me? Why do I feel this way? In this video, we'll dive deeper into the psychological mechanisms behind this phenomenon and explore why the no-contact rule often leads avoidant individuals to come back. Let's uncover how this strategy taps into core aspects of their psyche and reignites connections they thought had been forgotten. If you're interested in attachment psychology, love strategies, and how to build a lasting relationship, don't forget to hit subscribe to our channel right now. Join us as we explore the intricacies of love and gain deeper insights into yourself and your relationships. Number 1. Understanding the psychology of avoidant attachment. Avoidant attachment is one of the notable manifestations of insecurity in relationships. People with this attachment style often project an image of independence, self-sufficiency, and sometimes emotional detachment. They value maintaining emotional distance and appear unaffected by others' need for connection. However, deep within they harbor conflicting desires. They idealize love while simultaneously deactivating any connection that could bring those ideals to life. The deepest fears of avoidant individuals often stem from childhood experiences of rejection or a lack of emotional validation. These experiences lead them to develop strong defensive mechanisms, equating self-reliance with independence. They learn to handle everything on their own, but in doing so, come to view closeness and intimacy as threats. Risks that could lead to a loss of control or emotional harm. Despite their efforts to keep their distance, they silently yearn for an idealized relationship, one where they can be loved without having to sacrifice their freedom. However, the paradox lies in their self-protective tendencies, which unintentionally push others away. Avoidant individuals often create a mental image of an ideal partner, someone so perfect that they require no compromise or emotional vulnerability. Yet this unattainable standard becomes a tool to maintain distance. When no one meets their unrealistic expectations, they justify staying in their comfort zone without feeling guilty. Relationships with avoidant individuals often follow a familiar pattern. Initially, their confidence and independence can be highly attractive. However, as the relationship deepens, they begin to create distance, avoiding meaningful conversations and shying away from commitments. This dynamic frequently leads to ambiguous relationships, neither fully romantic nor entirely platonic. At times, they may express love, but when you seek a deeper connection, they withdraw and become distant. It's clear that such behavior is a red flag. For someone with an avoidant attachment style, they may hold on to an idealized vision of a perfect relationship in their mind, a relationship where everything flows effortlessly without any pain or difficulty. However, this idealism becomes a barrier, preventing them from embracing real, imperfect love. Avoidant individuals both desire love and fear it. They crave deep relationships but cannot accept the inherent imperfections in any connection. This duality is what I'd call a double standard. They want everything, yet ultimately, they achieve nothing. It's a wonderful thing when the right connection comes along and makes everything possible. Although they are often misunderstood as people who dislike commitment, avoidants actually long for love more intensely than most. However, to protect themselves, they place love on an impossible pedestal, a goal no one can realistically attain. This behavior isn't driven by malice, but is instead a defense mechanism formed from past emotional wounds. To truly understand avoidant individuals, one must look deeply into their inner conflict. They wrestle with a desire to be loved and a fear of losing themselves in love, which reminds them of the emotional vulnerabilities and traumas of their childhood. The key to comprehending their behavior lies in acknowledging this struggle between longing for connection and their deep-seated fear of dependency and emotional harm. Number 2. Why does the no-contact rule work so effectively with avoidant individuals? The no-contact rule is particularly effective with avoidant attachment types because it directly disrupts their core psychological mechanisms. Avoidants often mask their fear of vulnerability by maintaining emotional distance. They build a deactivation system, a psychological defense mechanism that suppresses their need for attachment, idealizes the past, and avoids confronting their true feelings in the present. When the no-contact rule is applied, this system is interrupted. Without access to the other person, the avoidant loses their excuse to maintain emotional distance. Instead, they are forced to face the void created by the silence. Within this space, repressed emotions begin to surface. They don't just recall the relationship, they idealize the positive memories, as the absence of current conflict allows those moments to shine brighter. This idealization is a natural reaction for avoidance in response to absence. When they no longer have to directly face the pressures of attachment, they feel safer reflecting on what they've lost. Through the selective lens of memory, the positives of the relationship take center stage, while disagreements fade into the background. This leads them to reevaluate the value of the connection they previously sought to avoid. Consider Anna, a woman with an avoidant attachment style. In her relationship with James, she often kept her distance, avoided deep conversations, and sidestepped long-term plans. After the breakup, Anna felt relief at no longer facing the pressures of attachment from James. She told herself she had made the right decision. However, when James implemented the no-contact rule, Anna began to perceive the silence differently. At first, she felt at ease with no messages or calls from James, but over time, the quiet turned into unease. She wondered, has James truly moved on? Positive memories, such as the times he patiently listened to her or the moments they laughed together, started to dominate her thoughts. While past conflicts became less significant, Anna tried moving on by dating someone new, but no one provided the same sense of familiarity as James. This idealization wasn't accidental. It was a direct result of the distance created by the no-contact rule, forcing her to confront the emotions she had suppressed. Avoidants like Anna often react negatively to attempts at reconciliation because such efforts trigger their defense mechanisms. However, when the other person remains silent and maintains distance, avoidants no longer feel pursued. This compels them to adjust their expectations and gradually lower their emotional walls. Initially, Anna felt comfortable without James in her life, but the silence gradually became a larger question mark. Has he really moved on from me? This question ignited a series of emotions she had previously avoided. The physical and emotional distance, coupled with idealization, made Anna begin to crave the connection she had once rejected. When James stayed silent, Anna not only grew curious, but also started to see him in a new light. Instead of the person who once pursued her, he now appeared as someone independent, confident, and unattainable. This shift made Anna increasingly drawn to him. She didn't just miss James as her former partner, she saw him as an irreplaceable figure in her cherished memories. The no-contact rule not only creates the necessary distance for avoidants to lower their emotional defenses, but also forces them to confront the loneliness they inadvertently brought upon themselves. This gap fosters curiosity, longing, and ultimately a desire to restore the connection. By disrupting their deactivation system and allowing space for reflection, the no-contact rule enables avoidants to recognize what they've lost and reevaluate their feelings. Number 3. The emotional cycle of avoidant individuals. Section 1. The emotional cycle of avoidant individuals is a complex 8-stage process reflecting how they form and maintain relationships, from craving love to ultimately feeling isolated. Initially, they idealize a perfect, flawless relationship. During the honeymoon phase, they feel as though they've found the one, but this idealization quickly fades as doubts and anxieties arise, pushing the relationship downhill. Their deactivation system activates, making them feel threatened and leading them to contemplate leaving the relationship, creating increasing emotional distance from their partner. Eventually, they end the relationship, feeling relieved to regain their independence, but this relief is short-lived. In the post-breakup euphoria, they take pride in their newfound independence. But this feeling soon gives way to loneliness and self-pity, the lowest point in their emotional cycle. The emotional cycle of avoidant individuals is a complex process that reflects their unique struggles with attachment, from yearning for love to grappling with deep loneliness. Initially, avoidant individuals idealize the notion of a perfect, flawless relationship. In the honeymoon phase, they believe they have found the one. But as doubts and insecurities emerge, their anxieties disrupt the relationship. Their deactivation system, an internal defense mechanism, kicks in, causing them to feel threatened and pushing them to emotionally distance themselves. Over time, this growing disconnect leads them to leave the relationship, and they experience a sense of relief, regaining their independence. However, this relief is fleeting. During the post-breakup high, avoidants take pride in their reclaimed autonomy, but this phase quickly transitions into loneliness and self-pity, marking the lowest point in their emotional cycle. It is in this stage that avoidants confront the full impact of their decisions, often feeling trapped in an endless loop of longing and fear. This stage represents the emotional rock bottom for avoidants. After the initial euphoria of independence fades, they are left to face the loss and consequences of leaving their partner. The loneliness they experience is not the peaceful solitude they once sought, but a burden that leaves them feeling stuck. They may reflect on the relationship and regret how it ended, falling into bouts of self-doubt and even mild depression as they wonder whether they will ever find someone truly compatible. Take Mia, for example, a strong, independent woman with an avoidant attachment style. She had been in a 2-year relationship with Jack, a kind and devoted partner. 3 months after their breakup, Mia often found herself revisiting that pivotal evening at their favorite cafe in Brooklyn. Jack had asked, "Do you think we should start planning our future together, Mia? I want to know if we're on the same path." Those words suffocated her. Unable to answer, she averted his gaze, overcome with a wave of anxiety. A few days later, she ended the relationship, citing her need for space. Initially, Mia felt liberated. Free from the pressures of commitment and the questions she couldn't answer, she threw herself into work, social outings, and travel. She told herself, "This is the life I've always wanted." But as time passed, the excitement of her newfound independence began to fade. Socializing with friends no longer brought her joy, and her busy work schedule only left her feeling drained. Mia's thoughts often wandered back to Jack. One evening, she opened her photo library, scrolling through memories of their time together. She saw pictures of their strolls in Central Park, quiet nights watching movies, and moments when Jack held her hand in silent reassurance during her moments of unease. A pang of regret gripped her heart as those memories awakened feelings she had tried so hard to suppress. Was I wrong to let him go? Mia wondered. She couldn't stop thinking about Jack's patience and kindness, even when she avoided vulnerability. Jack was such a good person, but what about me? Am I good enough, or do I just hurt the people around me? These thoughts spiraled into a vortex of regret and self-pity. Inside her, emotions churned in chaos. Part of her wanted to reach out to Jack, to tell him she missed him, but another part held her back, terrified of rejection or uncertainty about what she would do if he came back. Her fingers hovered over her phone's screen before she sighed and set it down. Mia found herself trapped between unbearable loneliness and the fear of facing true attachment. In that moment, she realized the freedom she had once craved had become a cage she couldn't escape. The loneliness and self-pity phase presents a rare opportunity for avoidant individuals like Mia to confront the emotions they have long avoided. It forces them to acknowledge that maintaining emotional distance doesn't necessarily bring the peace they had imagined. However, if they fail to navigate this stage, they risk perpetuating their cycle, yearning for idealized love while fearing real connection. For avoidance, breaking this cycle requires vulnerability and self-reflection. While it may feel daunting, this process is the first step toward building meaningful relationships and finding the balance between independence and intimacy. Number 4. Idealizing the ghost ex in avoidant attachment psychology. When avoidants experience a breakup, they often engage in a phenomenon called idealizing the ghost ex. This refers to an image of a past partner, romanticized and elevated to an unattainable standard. They don't merely hold on to memories of this individual, but transform those memories into an emotional shield that protects them from the intimacy they fear. This idealization becomes most apparent in current relationships, where avoidants subconsciously compare their partner to the perfect image in their minds. This dynamic weakens the relationship and creates a persistent emotional gap between them and their partner. The current partner is never good enough or suitable enough because they are measured against an unrealistic standard. This standard is not constructed to foster connection, but rather to maintain a safe emotional distance. Yet when asked why their relationships fail, avoidants often claim they're simply searching for the right one, not realizing that their idealized standard is a defense mechanism designed to shield them from vulnerability. Interestingly, avoidants are often drawn to individuals with anxious attachment styles, those who crave reassurance and closeness. Initially, the strong attention and care provided by an anxious partner may make avoidants feel valued. However, the intense closeness quickly triggers their defense mechanisms, causing them to withdraw. This dynamic results in a conflicted cycle, where the anxious partner's attempts to bridge the gap only push the avoidant further away. The no-contact rule can be an effective strategy in this context. When avoidants are no longer under the pressure of being pursued, they gain the space to confront their true emotions. This distance allows them to feel the absence of their partner and begin questioning their decisions and behaviors. Why do I always pull away from people who genuinely care about me? Or what is it that makes me dissatisfied in relationships? As the avoidant's emotional defenses begin to crack, they may start to recognize their suppressed desire for connection. However, this shift can only occur when they are not forced or pressured to confront fears they aren't ready to face. It is within this independent moment of reflection that avoidants may finally embark on the journey toward genuine emotional connection.